Oh, very much so. I mean, I was raised on such a huge variety of music, from classical to jazz to the great singer-songwriters, folk music, and people like the Weavers and Pete Seeger, and on down to all kinds of African music and country music. Gosh, hillbilly music, you name it. My parents were listening to it.
I'm told that you first started to play the piano at 2.5. Is that right?
I did. Started piano at 2.5 and guitar at 10.
What inspired you to write in the first place? I mean, your music has been recorded by so many famous names. It's been inspirational to many. What inspired you to write?
You know, I don't know, Martin. I think it's something you're born with. I mean, I always tell classes when I lecture that if you have any choice about being in this business, don't. You know, because it's a very rough business, and it's certainly the older you get, the harder it is to keep your edge. But for someone like me who started so young, I think it's just something you're born with.
All of your songs tell a story, don't they?
They try to. Something like Miracle Row, which I wrote when I was staying with my mom in New York, and she was living on a block that was pretty much all Puerto Rican immigrants. And really, there were congas all night, and it was a lot more annoying than it is in the song. But something like that, or Jolene tells the story of a woman in Central Park giving birth. You know, there's kind of three schools of folk music, I guess. There's the journalism school of the Phil Oakes, say, or your Tom Robinson here in the 70s. And then there's the sociological school, I guess, which would be people like me. And then there's the kind of self-obsessed school. You know, look at my own navel, which is a whole other thing. And I don't even want to name any of those people. My acting teacher, Stella Adler, used to say that writers are born knowing, and God help you with what you did with that knowledge. You know, and I think that she was right. There's a part of every writer, be they a songwriter, a playwright, or a prose writer, who just instinctively sometimes places their hand on the zeitgeist and can write something so true and so visionary that it strikes straight through to the heart, and it cuts through culture and gender and race and religion and just speaks directly to the heart. And I think that when it's someone like a Billy Bragg, say, or Tom or myself, certainly for me, writing Society's Child at 14, having no idea of the kind of repercussions a song like that would have, it's got to come from the talent and be a part of that talent. I mean, I don't mean to sound all wispy, gauzy, metaphysical here, because, you know, I'm not saying I channel it or anything. I mean, I work very hard at what I do. But I think once you develop a conscience and you realize as a writer that people are listening to what you say, you start taking what you say much more seriously.
Of course, at that time, the ripples really came over to the UK pretty quickly, but the impact was immediate in the States, wasn't it? The Tonight Show, the major magazines, Lifetime, Newsweek, and others. And how did you cope with all that as a kid, really?
Oh, I think like any adolescent copes with something that's too hard to deal with, I just ignored it. You know, I mean, it was rough in a lot of ways. There were a lot of security problems. You didn't have bodyguards back then. I got shoved around quite a bit, and people would buy tickets to the shows just to sit there and try and scream me off the stage, and people would send razor blades in the mail and things like that. It was pretty scary.
You mentioned the acting. You took some acting lessons, if you like, coaching from Stella Adler, you mentioned.
I did indeed.
Some ballet as well.
And the most wretched student of her career. Really, I studied with Dora Kranig of
How's
the Royal
your
Ballet.
plie these days then, Janis?
Horrible. I am, boy, you know, if there's an area I'm completely talentless in fact, negative talent. I mean, I think whatever small talent I might have had probably went to a real ballerina. But, you know, Martin, I wanted to do something that was musical, but not anything to do with my own work. And ballet was a good choice, and I really was just so dreadful at it that it became fun, because I could just enjoy it.
And where is home for you now? I mentioned your New Jersey roots. Where are you based
Nashville,
these days?
Tennessee.
Who isn't these days? And
isn't that strange? I moved there 16 years ago, but it's become awfully popular.
Well, it's because you moved there. That's why it is, Janis.
Listen to
Everybody
you.
followed.